Jake Paul wasn't lying when he said he made a lot of money in the boxing ring, as his earnings in 2021 are going to make a lot of competitors a little envious. Pivoting from YouTube to boxing, Paul's earnings last year have put him on Forbes' radar. Make sure to watch the video to the end to find out the whole story. On Friday, Forbes published its list of the highest paid influencers on the social media network, with the problem child ranking second, having an estimated $45 million in revenue. According to the publication, around $40 million of the money came from boxing, with Jake Paul defeating Ben Askren in April and Tyron Woodley in August, as well as December. Whether Jake is regarded as a genuine boxer or not, the money he's making is undeniable. His salary in 2021 would have placed him among the top paid athletes last year, earning more than Canelo Alvarez, who allegedly made $34 million. Jake Paul made a few people laugh in August when he likened himself to Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and Floyd Mayweather before his fourth fight. However, the outspoken YouTuber turned boxer may yet get the final laugh. Even if his fists never equal his tongue, his earnings already place him among the sport's top stars. Next, making it on the lists. According to Forbes, Paul earned a total of $40 million before taxes from his 3 boxing victories in 2021, bringing his overall record to 5-0. Paul comes in at number 2 on the list of the highest paid YouTube stars for 2021, with an extra $5 million from his various activities, including his videos, returning to the list for the first time since 2018. That $45 million total would have put him at number 20 on Forbes' list of the world's highest paid sportsmen last year, ahead of the only boxer to enter the top 50, Canelo Alvarez, who tied for 48th with $34 million. It would have also put him ahead of established athletes including Phil Mickelson, who made $41 million, and Novak Djokovic, who made $34.5 million. Now for the YouTube channel and the controversies. Paul, who will be 25 next week, has made quite a comeback. Early in 2018, YouTube demonetized his channel in response to anger over a video shot in a Japanese suicide forest by his elder brother Logan. Paul was heartbroken since he was no longer making money from the advertisements that played on his films, and several businesses had abandoned him. The channel is now again producing ad income and has 20.4 million members, but he has continued to seek controversy. The FBI searched his house in August of 2020 when footage showed him visiting a mall as it was being looted. He did not face prosecution, and among numerous provocative statements over the years, he labeled COVID-19 as a hoax in a November 2020 interview with the Daily Beast. Most severely, he was accused of sexual assault by TikTok celebrity Justine Paradise in April. Paul has strenuously rejected the claim, and so far, none of this has harmed his growing boxing career. So now let's dive into the bouts. Paul enters 2021 with 2 fights under his belt. Fights in 2020 against YouTuber N.S. Gibb and former NBA player Nate Robinson, who is 5'9". For his follow-ups, he set up more difficult opponents, putting his 6'1", 190 physique to the test. He defeated ex-MMA fighter Ben Askren in April, and in August, he beat UFC fighter Tyron Woodley. When boxer Tommy Fury backed out of a scheduled bout in December due to a chest ailment and a rib injury, Paul met Woodley again, knocking him out this time. The last battle was a commercial flop, with just 65,000 pay-per-view buys through cable and satellite carriers. In Paul's attempts to push back against those numbers, he pointed out that his previous fight had sold 500,000 pay-per-views for reference. Even if he finds it difficult to acquire the same fees for future fights, he has other revenue sources he can rely on, including NFTs, items through his online shop, and short-term endorsement partnerships with businesses such as Boohoo Man and DraftKings. He also runs his own boxing promotion organization, Most Valuable Promotions. Of course, there's always the YouTube channel, but he's re-establishing himself among the platform's elite with videos that now mostly center on his boxing. Next, advocating for fighter wages. While we're sure many of the people on the MMA side of things are sick and pretty done with Paul and his shenanigans, we have to give him some credit for continuing to beat the drum for fighter wages. Not only is he discussing the subject of fighter compensation, particularly UFC pay, on a regular basis, but he also went out of his way to ensure that everyone on the Paul vs. Woodley undercard received a fair amount of the money made from the impending pay-per-view event. Paul, who was already a wealthy man before switching to boxing, has often mocked UFC president Dana White over bout money. The YouTube sensation believes that by promoting themselves and selling bouts inside the boxing ring, fighters can make a lot more money. It's been surprising to see Paul become such a strong supporter of struggling MMA fighters, but we now know why. In 2021, Problem Child earned $40 million from just 3 boxing matches alone. And now we're on to Jake Paul. Jake and Logan Paul were money-making machines in 2021, with the YouTube superstars turned boxers allegedly earning $63 million in the previous year. Logan, who ranked 8th on Forbes' YouTube list, allegedly earned $18 million in 2021, thanks in large part to his battle with Floyd Mayweather, his impulsive podcast, and other commercial prospects. Despite their massive profits in 2021, neither Jake nor Logan could surpass Mr. Beast for the top slot. The king of YouTube alone raked in $54 million. Now, in other news, Joe Smith Jr. If Joe Smith Jr. escapes a dramatic shock loss to Steve Gifford, he might be in line for a blockbuster fight against Saul Canelo Alvarez. Smith Jr. defends his WBO light heavyweight championship against Gifford, live on Sky Sports Arena at 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, as the American looks to cement his position as one of the division's finest fighters. But the 32-year-old is equally cautious of the threat posed by Gifford, a last-minute replacement from Britain's Callum Johnson, who's looking for a surprise triumph in New York. Gifford, 31, lost his first 2 professional fights, but has since gone 18-0. Long Island Smith Jr. is most known for smashing over the ropes and suffering his sole stoppage loss to boxing superstar Bernard Hopkins in his final bout. He wants to reclaim his #1 ranking in the light heavyweight division from Artur Beterbiev, IBF and WBC champion, and Dmitry Bivol, WBA. Canelo is an odd choice for Smith Jr., however. Arum did indicate that the 32-year-old was a candidate in the sweepstakes to face the Mexican in May, similar to Beterbiev, another fighter he represents. Robert Helenius has claimed that there is no more qualified opponent for a mandatory chance at Alexander Usyk, but he's also claimed that Tyson Fury is an easier style for him. With 2 career-best knockout wins against the previously unbeaten Adam Kownacki, the Finnish veteran surged into world championship contention. The Nordic Nightmare Helenius is ranked 3rd by the WBA, whose belt is now held by Usyk, and he is requesting to be reinstated as the mandatory challenger. Usyk is ready to defend his IBF, WBA, and WBO heavyweight championships against Anthony Joshua in a rematch. Helenius, who has previously fought with Derek Chisora and Dillian White, has also emerged as a surprise contender to meet Fury. Fury is currently in talks to defend his WBC title against mandatory challenger White, but no agreement has been reached, despite identifying March 26th as his desired return date. Bob Arum, who promotes Fury in the US, mentioned Helenius and Andy Ruiz Jr. as possible replacements for White. Callum Mundo Smith, 28-1 with 20 KOs, is currently the WBC's #1 contender in their new light heavyweight rankings, according to boxer Michael Benson. Artur Beterbiev, 17-0 with 17 KOs, who also holds the IBF championship, is the current WBC champion. Smith has moved up to light heavyweight after losing his WBA super middleweight championship to Saul Canelo Alvarez, 57-1-2 in 2020. He overcame Lenin Castillo, 21-4-1 in September. Mundo, who is 6 feet 3 inches tall, has always been a huge super middleweight who has battled to make the weight. He's now perhaps in his optimal weight class, where he may no longer have to deplete himself in order to qualify on the scale. Smith, as the WBC's #1 contender, may become obligated to fight Beterbiev later this year. Mundo versus Beterbiev. In contrast to the Liverpool native, the hard-hitting Russian boasts a perfect record of 17 knockout victories. Beterbiev was a well-known amateur who won gold at the 2009 World Championships and advanced to the Olympic quarterfinals in 2012. As a professional, he has continued to demonstrate his boxing abilities and is regarded by Ring Magazine as the top light heavyweight in the world. With his international profile developing, there's still conjecture that he may face Mexican pound-for-pound champion Canelo next. In any event, a bout with Smith would be an intriguing prospect for Beterbiev. Mundo would be one of the tallest opponents the Russian has fought as a professional, and if the bout were to take place in the United Kingdom, he would be exposed to a hostile environment. Beterbiev's previous fights have all taken place in the US, Canada, and Russia, so a match against Smith in England would allow him to reach new territory and possibly attract new fans. Only time will tell whether Smith is forced to meet Beterbiev. In any case, this would be an exciting boxing match to watch regardless. That's a wrap for this video. Should Jake Paul count as a serious boxer yet? Let us know down in the comments. But until next time, we'll see you then.